Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Shahab Karni from the studios of Television I-95. This morning, I have a very intriguing and interesting lady in front of me or with me in the virtual studios. I have Nina McHugh, and Nina is an advocate and champion of foster issues or foster caring. So I have requested Nina to join me in the studios today to tell us exactly what foster care means, one. The second thing is we also want to hear her personal story because she herself is a product of the foster child care system. Welcome to my studio, Nina. How are you today?
Good. How are you? Hi, Shahab.
Thank you. So, Nina, tell us exactly to our audience what is foster care, by the way, and then we'll come back to your story.
Okay. All right. So, foster care is a group of kids. We are unseen, unheard, and we are unloved. These are a group of kids that come in and they've lived a lifetime before they even entered school. I mean, you have no idea what's going on. These kids come in and they're lifeless. They don't smile. Everything has just been taken away from them. And what a foster home does, a foster parent, foster parents, is they give back hope. They give back hope, and they bring life back into a child so that way they can hold on to something and keep that close to them. And as they move forward in their life, they can use that to kind of help build, create, and mold who they're going to be so that way they can be a functional person in society.
Thank you, Nina. Now, as I told earlier, that you yourself have a very compelling and powerful story because you were also brought up as a foster kid, a foster child. Tell our audience and viewers what is your life story.
So, yes, I was brought up in the foster care system. Um gosh. I It's a very sad story. My mother, her rights were taken away from her. Um, and my father, he eventually withdrew his rights because he couldn't take care of four kids. I was the oldest, and I have three brothers that are biological 100%. Um, my mother was a drug addict and abusive, and she had a lot of mental stuff going on. So when I entered the foster care system, I was 3 years old. And I stayed into that system until I was almost 10. Um, so I was eventually adopted. And just so you guys can kind of get clarity of what is happening here in Maryland, there are 4,591 kids in the year 2020 that were actual foster kids. Only 163 of those kids had an adoption plan. So, the end goal is to always have the child reunited with their biological family. In a foster family, I had many of those, as did my brothers. And their job is to basically help us get to that point of reunification. Um, so, just so you guys know, in Maryland, there are only 2,451 licensed foster parents last year. And only 2,161 of those families were non-relative families. So the end goal is if a child can't be with their biological parents, that they can be with a relative. However, if you are taking care of your brother, your sister, your niece, your nephew, your best friend's child, you still have to become licensed. Now, for me, I had several family members that wanted to step up, and but as many other foster kids, it's a generational cycle of just nastiness and dangerous situations. Um, and it was not safe for myself or my younger brothers to be with any of my foster or with any of my relatives. Um, so right before I was adopted at the age of 10, well, I was 9, almost 10. Um, I was not with my brothers during foster care. I was with my brother Christian for a little bit here and there. Um, but I had this amazing woman. Her name is Patty. And what she saw is that I was about to go with my forever family. So in foster care, it is very common for kids to move from one home to another. So you may have a child in your home for a week, you may have them for a couple days. Hell, you may even have them for a couple years. So and it's not up to you, but this woman, she fought so hard. She wanted to see something good for us. So what she did is Christian was already in that home. I went back to that home and she got my brother Wesley. We were not adopted with our youngest brother. In fact, he was adopted from his first foster parent who had taken him straight from the hospital. And Patty was getting us ready to live together as a cohesive family. And that was very difficult, not only for us, but also for Patty. Patty saw what was happening and she would make time for my brothers and I to only have us time. Um, Not only that, she saw what was happening in the school system. So when you have a foster child come into your home, the probability of that child having learning difficulties is extremely high. When I was in foster care, I was dubbed with so many learning disabilities, so many. Um, I mean, these kids are going to the nurse's office. They are going to the school therapist. They're being pulled out of their classroom several times a day to go to a resource classroom. So it's not like the other kids aren't seeing what's happening. But not only that, you have your teachers that are talking to other teachers. You have your teachers that are coming in and the principals coming in. So these conversations, although they might be happening from adult to adult, they're still happening in front of the other students. So it was very clear that I was the foster kid in this classroom. And it's very uncommon for, I mean, there may be, but when I was going from school to school to school, I was the only foster kid. So I was a target and I didn't talk about it. So I was being bullied. And when I was about to be adopted, Patty saw what was happening. So she would send books to school about foster kids and she would give them to my teacher. And my teacher would read them aloud to everyone. And that is the point in when I was able to start learning. I was no longer a target. She gave understanding not only to the teachers, but also to the other students. So not only did Patty allow me to start learning, she was able to create a good starting point for my new forever family. And when
Thank
I
you.
moved, yeah.
So, Nina, in other words, your compelling, very powerful story tells us that there are challenges, there are issues
Mhm.
with this kind of an upbringing, and you're telling us the first-hand, real, real-time story. Tell us something that in the state of Maryland, what challenges as an advocate and champion do you see that you're facing? One. The second thing is what needs to be done to address those challenges?
All right. Okay, well, there are a lot of challenges that are happening. For one, we don't have many foster homes in Maryland, but two, those foster homes aren't well maintained. So I think talking about the negative side of foster care, I want to save for a later segment. Um, but I think that we need to really talk about how can we support foster families and also support uh, future adopted families as well. Um, when we were adopted, my mom did not get the support that she needed. And she was an amazing woman. I mean, both my parents are. I love them. I'm still very close with them. But my mother reached out to social services on several occasions, and they were not able to support her or give her the answers that she was looking for. I would love for this, what we're doing, our segments, to kind of help create policy and have us look at what is actually happening and what are some of these small changes that we can make that will help create such a dramatic and positive change so that we can stop these cycles that are generational. How can we lift up these kids so that they can become successful, so that they can be functional? I don't see a lot of foster kids like myself, functional human beings in society.
Understand? So, Nina, the other thing is this is not just one state issue. Let me
No,
show this slide to everybody. There are close to like 400 plus thousand kids in foster care in US as per the latest numbers. So this is not like a one state. This is like a national crisis, right? This
it
is
is a national crisis. It's a national crisis that we're not really talking about. And I think it goes past the fundamentals of family at the very basics. We're talking about mental health, we're talking about drug addiction, we are talking about violence, we're talking about generational gangs. How can we as a country come together to support families at their basis so that way families can stay together, they can break their own cycles, and watch their families grow into this positive community. Um, that's what uh, this is the movement that we're trying to create because it's not hard. We can do it.
so in on those lines, I think you have decided to do a weekly segment on this foster crisis and bringing the awareness.
Yes.
One, the second thing is where are the loopholes, especially in the public service agencies,
Yeah.
the different at the state level, the county level, the national level, and what the private and public sector can join hands together to address these issues. Is that right, Ms. Nina?
Yes, yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I'm very excited to start this because we are going to be interviewing policyholders, people that have lived in the system, people that work in the system, foster families. We're going to be talking to people who work in the nonprofit sectors. So I would love for you guys, if you have any questions, please reach out to me. My number is right down here. Um, and we can get those questions answered on air, or we can bring you on air and you can ask those questions. But I'm very excited to see what is going to happen from this. I would really like there to be some type of conversation going on.
Thank you, Miss Nina. And again, viewers, this is not coming from somebody who is trying to leverage or use this issue to make money, but
No.
Nina is herself a product of that challenge and the issue that we're facing even at the national level. So I'm sure Nina is genuine and authentic, and when the words coming from Nina's mouth has a lot of weight and meaning. Am I right, Miss Nina?
Yes, as someone who has survived the system, I feel though as though it is my responsibility to speak up. I have a voice, and I my voice is here for those who can't speak.
Excellent. Miss Nina, we wish you all the best in coming days and weeks, and
Yes,
definitely you can be a good champion and advocate for, as I said, this is not an issue, this is kind of a movement, a national movement, right?
exactly. Yes.
Well, thank you very much. You joined me this morning, and we will continue the conversation in coming weeks. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing everyone next week.